Brian.
Hi, Lilou.
How are you doing today?
Doing very well, thank you.
Good speaking with you again.
Yes, it's wonderful to see you again as well and speak with you again.
On Skype, as usual, as last time,
That's
3 years ago or something like that, we had another of these wonderful, inspiring conversation. You're the author of two books, including The Big Glow, and now it's Wow Now. So we're going to speak
that's
about all
right.
this, but I'm really interested to hear how have you been since our last conversation.
Yeah, so it's been really wonderful since we talked about the book last time and about my life and my journey to really have this relationship evolve with the readers and that the emails that I get from people and just really it's like a sense of community that forms with others from who've read the book and have questions and explorations, and then having public events and having a chance for them to meet each other and connect with each other and really have this supportive community, this conscious community of people awakening to their essence and to their purpose and growing and evolving together. It's been wonderful and exciting to be a part of.
It's interesting how one book would open several other doors, and it's just a one kind of milestone, and then there is so many other
Right.
things. Why did you decide to write this other book, this new one?
I think honestly because it's so much fun. I think that would be the short answer to the question. But the other part of it is that I continue to write and I continue to have different things coming through and looking at what I was writing. I just sense well, there's a lot of material here, and I think there's some really powerful stuff here that could really benefit people. That could really be openings for people to awaken to their self. And so there was this impulse to put it together into book form.
What is the core of that message, and how is that different from the first one, or is it an evolution?
I would say it's an evolution of the first one, and the style is similar as well, though a bit different. Um, and the message is in the title, the wow, the now, awakening to the big love within. So really, this awakening for me had to do a lot with time in the sense of it's always right now, and it's never not right now. So we think about the future in the now, and we think about the past in the now. And if you bring your presence to this moment, it's the gateway for everything in life. It's everything's happening now. So if you're not here now, then you're missing life. And if you're here now, you're missing life, and it opens up all the other aspects of life that we want that will bring us fulfillment and a sense of love and peace and freedom and empowerment that we think is off in the future somewhere or was in the past back somewhere is actually here right now. And opening to that is a really is the awakening that the book points toward.
There's something really amazing, and it's hard to point at when we talk about the present moment. There is the suffering seems not to be in the present moment. Is that something that you have discovered? It seems like the suffering is before, after, but when we start to focus on what's going on now, there is none of that. Huh? There's an opening. There's something that happens.
hmm And the other thing is that there's this unconditional relationship with the moment or with life. So if you can really just be with what's here right now. So a lot of people they're avoiding. Oh, I don't want to fix this right now because it's bad. It's. So there's all this resistance and all this blockage to the moment. And what's interesting about negativity to me that I discovered is there actually aren't the way I see it. There actually aren't negative thoughts or really negative emotions. There's the resistance to the thought or the emotion that creates the negativity. The thought is just a thought, and the feeling is just a feeling. So when you realize this, you have this unconditional relationship with the moment, whatever it arises, if it's happiness or sadness or joy or pleasure or pain. And one thing that I've really discovered, actually, since our last, even more so since our last interview and discussion, is that I used to feel like people were what they feared the most was pain and suffering because it made sense, but that's something that people would want to avoid. But as I've looked further, and really delving deeply with people, I find that pain and suffering, for most people, that's their comfort zone. That's kind of what they're familiar with and what they're used to, and that's sort of their daily life for the most part. And what I find people fear the most, which is really amazing to realize and acknowledge, is joy. That's what people fear the most because they're not used to it. It's not familiar. It's unknown. And so they want to stay in the realm that feels, the human condition, so to speak, that feels normal and natural. And so, acknowledging that actually what we fear the most is joy, and the joy is around us all the time. And it's just opening ourselves to it, and allowing it in. We're the ones that are resisting it. It's not like it's out there somewhere far away. It's here now. And so I just wanted to make that point because, people avoid suffering, but they also, even more so, in a way. But be able to just be open to whatever's happening in the moment with this unconditional embrace of what's happening. Then there's this feeling of freedom, this feeling of peace that is here underlying, and empowerment that's here underlying whatever arises in the moment, and really recognize that. Sort of like the example I use is like clouds in the sky. So whatever thought or feeling or emotion, it's a cloud. It arises, it appears, it disappears, it floats on by. And when you realize the temporal nature of anything in the world of phenomenon form, then you can embrace it and acknowledge it and allow it to float through. And it's the resistance actually that keeps us stuck in it. And then there's the recognition that we are the infinite blue sky. So the essence of ourselves is that which is unchanging, the ever-present I am, which is here beyond whatever arises or falls in the world of form or thought or emotion or experience. And this is the spiritual awakening that I point to.
Mm-hmm. Is that what you felt when you were able to kind of release? Because you had some disease or you were diagnosed. Tell us
Mm-hmm.
about that aspect and how you were able to. Were you able to actually let go of all of that or heal it completely, fully?
Yeah, so what happened there is I had an illness, a severe illness when I was 20 years old, a chronic illness, and was going to see doctors and wasn't getting any real answers that were satisfactory to what was happening. Getting a different response from each doctor, and it didn't seem that they really knew what was happening, and yet they wanted to prescribe drugs nonetheless. And so it was pretty quickly that I realized, this is not the route that I want to go. I want to go a holistic route. I want to find out, and I want to find out for myself. And I realized pretty quickly the mind body connection. The mind, the body is one, and the way we think and feel affects our physical body, and our physical body affects our mind and our thoughts. And so they're really one organism. There's not two separate things. And so then I realized that the root, if I can get to the root of consciousness, that would shift on the physical level as well. So I really got interested in dedicating my life to not just for myself, but for humanity. What is suffering, and who am I, and why am I here, and what is my purpose, and these questions, and really giving myself 100% in a one-pointed way to addressing and answering these questions for myself. So that started the journey, the spiritual journey
Mm-hmm.
that went forward from there, and all the different insights and awakenings that came forward from there. But it was a holistic approach. So also changing diet, exercise, every aspect of life, relationships, community, all these different aspects of life, looking at all of them. And so then when you do this, when you approach it this way, it can be a slower journey. In my case, it took years to really move beyond it. But when you move beyond it, it's almost like reason you move beyond it is because you're not the person you were before. You're a new being. You're a new human being, and so that person doesn't. There's appreciation that that person came before you, but that person, it's almost like being reincarnated while you're still in this body.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, scientifically, every 7 years or so, all our cells are regenerated in our body, but it's like this psychological conscious aspect of realizing that and coming into the world fresh, and letting go of what's come before, and reconditioning ourselves in a new way, reprogramming ourselves, rewiring ourselves, whatever terminology you want to use, but the ability that we have the ability to do that.
What I find challenging, and I'm sure some people find challenging, is that we are diagnosed or we know we have this issue and this problem and we work towards it. We know that it's, in the present moment that things happen and are going to be liberated or healed. But sometimes, even if we know we're on our way. It's not visible in the visible world, you know, that the things are moving forward already. How are you able to deal with that? Because sometimes we can feel the present moment and then we go back into the challenging mode, and then
Hmm.
we want to heal and move forward, but it's like we go back into the mental too, and we see, but look, there is no progress, so why bother?
Yeah.
How are you able to deal with that long term?
Well, I think there's two aspects. One, if there's no progress, that actually is something that should be looked at, because sometimes people are so dedicated. It has to be like this way I'm doing it, and we want to pay attention to the information coming in and be always open to adjust course and shift things and realign ourselves with what works for us and be open to other people's ideas and perceptions and feedback. So that's important, not to be so rigid in this is the way I said it was going to be done 5 years ago, and that's what I'm going to keep doing, even though I don't see anything changing. So there's that, and then there's the other part of it, which is I think it's important to talk about this subtle difference between, or sometimes not so subtle difference between, intention and expectation. So you have your intention of health, and really kind of being loose in how that's going to look and how it's going to manifest. And if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing every day, then there's a sense that that's the moment itself is is your sense of fulfillment. It's the sense of being on course, of being on alignment, being on purpose, and really having the sense of enjoying the journey. That's the key. Really enjoying the journey and not being an illusion of, oh, when I get to this destination, then everything's going to be perfect and happy. But I'm miserable right now. It's like, no, enjoy the journey, because the journey is unending. It's infinite. It never ends. Even if you get to a certain plateau, okay, I published my book. The plateau. Okay, well now life goes on. Now there's the journey continues. There's these moments where you can take a moment and sit back and relax and celebrate the mountain peak of where you are, but there's other mountain peaks ahead. So it's really enjoying the unfolding journey, which is unending. And as we pointed to earlier, also the realization that there's this essence of ourselves which isn't on any journey, which is infinite beyond time and space, which doesn't change. So there's this really appreciation of the evolution, the continuing evolution of the journey, and the awareness of this part of ourselves which doesn't change and is beyond beginning or endings or birth or death, the spiritual awareness and essence of who we are.
Hmm. But what has been your technique or way of being when you saw those non-results, those non like it seems like
Yeah.
it
Well,
happens on the invisible before it starts to
yeah.
manifest. It's in another plan. It's another level.
Yeah, I think that's not to be too caught up in results. To be caught up in living. Am I living the lifestyle right now that would be the lifestyle of a? I used a funny term the other day, um, Jedi Ninja superhero. So am I living the lifestyle right now of a Jedi Ninja superhero, as an example? So if I'm living that way, then the results are going to have to come. It just makes it that's it's just the way the universe works. If you're doing what you're doing every day, then the results will come. But just to really have that sense of it, how am I in my body right now? What kind of thoughts am I thinking right now? What kind of emotions am I feeling right now? What kind of relationships do I have right now? What kind of food am I eating right now? To really look at every aspect of your life, and are you coming from that place every day? And then, yeah, over time, it's like there's sort of a lag time. There's a catch up, but the body and mind realigns itself with that.
Hmm. That's why those things help us to be in the present moment. I notice gratitude is one of them. What
Yeah.
else can really bring us into the present moment? What is for you the
Gratitude
most
is,
efficient?
gratitude is huge. I'm a big fan of gratitude and appreciation. One of my favorite quotes, which is actually in the beginning of the book, is from Meister Eckhart, who says, "If the only prayer you ever say your entire life is thank you, that should suffice." And I think that's so beautifully put. Just a
Mm-hmm.
sense of gratitude and appreciation and being thankful, and it's almost like it allows the flow of energy to move through us. The energy flows and moves through us when we're in the sense of gratitude and thank you, thank you, thank you. As opposed to this sense of ingratitude or not being grateful. It's like this. block, this resistance, So that's a great point, which is, can we be grateful for our illness? Which is what happened for me. There was a sense of, there wasn't at first, but there became a sense of gratitude, for the sense of, wow, what an opportunity here. What an opportunity to look at my life and change my life, and really open up to a new way of being in this world. And when we're grateful for what's happening in the moment, whatever it is, even if it's painful, it opens up because everything's happening to us to take us to what's next, to evolve us in our consciousness. That's the reason for everything that's happening to us, is to evolve us in our consciousness. And so to be able to accept that journey, accept that challenge, and accept the opportunity, allows everything to open up. And then we look back and we say, wow, that was one of the most important and valuable things that ever happened to me, and I'm so grateful, that it did, which is how I feel about that period in my life. One other thing that I'll point out is the breath, as far
Mm.
as being in the moment, to your question.
Yeah.
Being aware of our breath and taking a few deep breaths whenever we're feeling, any kind of stress or anxiety. Where is my breath? Where is my breath right now? And taking a deep, slow, deep breath, or more than one, several. You can take as long as you want to be breathing. And ideally, it's like reconditioning ourselves so we're breathing that way throughout the day, on a daily basis, on an ongoing basis. And then just bringing awareness to what's around you,
Mm-hmm.
in the moment. What's happening right now? That's the other question, what's happening right now? So even like sometimes with nature, it's great. And look, there's a window here, and just the beauty of the trees and the way the sun is shining off the leaves, and you notice the birds, on the treetops, and these things that are in the moment, that are here right now, that are are present, and they're so beautiful, miraculous, and magical, and we don't notice them when we're so caught in, well, what's going to happen tomorrow, or what if my money, or my job, or my relationship, and all these different things that actually aren't even happening, but we're thinking about them in the future, 5, 6, 7 steps down the road. What I call slaying illusionary dragons. We're trying to slay these dragons that actually don't even exist right now, as opposed to just stopping and saying, well, what's happening right now? And just noticing, in the sensory world, what's here right now, and really bringing ourselves into the magic and miraculousness of now.
So the wow is really something, because I often find myself saying wow, So why did you use that word?
Yeah, well, because it rhymes would be one, one reason, the wow, the now. But yes, there's this sense of like, when you're really in the moment, it's the sense of like, each moment is a miracle, but we don't realize it when we're not when we're not present. You have to be present to realize the miraculousness of this moment. So it's like every moment is a gift to us. No moment is guaranteed. So every moment, no matter what's arising, or how it's coming to us, is this sensory experience, this phenomenal, this experience in the world of phenomena, that is a gift, is not guaranteed to us. So the sense of, wow, look at the sky, look at the blue sky this morning. Wow, look at the ant crawling across the sidewalk. Wow, look at Lilou. Look at the trees around me. Everything is a sense of wow, and the wow transcends the experience. So there can be a wow. It's like just walking around in a state of amazement. So you can experience pain. It's like a great movie. There can be pain, there can be pleasure, there can be romance, there can be adventure, there can be. It's like you experience the full gamut of life, but there's a sense of wowness behind it, and you're like, at the end, you're like, wow, what a great movie. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but if the movie was just one emotion, or one experience, or one genuine kind of, in this realm of experience, it's not, it's not the fullness of life. So you can experience the fullness of life, and really give your whole heart to every moment, without being attached to any particular kind of experience, knowing that every experience, when you give your awareness to it, it moves, and it brings in the next experience, and really giving your whole self to that experience. And that's really living fully, in the sense of wow, in what I sometimes call living as a life artist. Really just creating, and experience the fullness of life and the wholeness of life in each moment, without getting caught up in the should or shouldn't of how it's supposed to be or not supposed to be.
Mm. And I see you have a colorful creation behind you.
Yes.
Can you tell us more?
Yes. I have a housemate here named Jennifer, and she's an artist, and that's one of her paintings.
Creation.
And Yeah, it's nice to have that kind of life and artistry and
Yeah,
beauty surrounding me. I really appreciate it.
that's part of the wow.
Hmm. Part of now the now.
Yeah, how do you feel about these times right now? And did you the 2000 end of 2012, and now we're in 2013? Do you feel it's being easier for you now to be in this awakening state, or how is it?
Uh, yeah, I mean, for me, it's great, and it's like this. I'm really excited about what's happening and the life that I'm stepping into, and it's hard to separate. I realize honestly that it's hard to separate oneself from the collective because we only see through our own perspective and our own filter. So and sometimes when people say, "Oh, life is terrible and life is miserable and the world is terrible and miserable," well, actually, you're terrible and miserable in the moment, and so you're seeing the world through that filter. But if you're in the sense of like excitement and joy and fulfillment, then you see the world through that filter, and they both exist, and they're both phenomena you can tap into. And then it's sort of like the people that are on that vibration and consciousness that you're in, you attract them into your life. Law of attraction, which I know you've done a lot on that in your show. Like resonance attracts like resonance, and so then you start to, that becomes sort of your reality and your perception of reality in the world that you live and inhabit. And what's exciting to me is like the more that you say yes to it, the more higher and higher it goes, and higher conscious and higher vibration. The most, more and more amazing people you connect with and come in contact with, and experiences, and that sense of appreciation and gratitude. It's like a snowball. It keeps rolling, and you go into these other realms of consciousness and and vibration. So I feel good about where I'm at and where I'm going.
Good. Well, thank you. I really appreciate this conversation. I'm grateful for this conversation. And if you have a last little thing for us before we close this.
Yeah, last little thing is
Yeah, whatever comes to
this.
your mind.
Whatever comes to mind, the sense of really realizing the ability to create, so to create your life. So the sense of being one with creation, one with God, one with spirit, one with source, that we're not separate. And, and being in the moment, we're one with the creative intelligence of the moment. And there's the potential to recognize that and to really be in a space of creativity, which to me is the highest space of fulfillment. Is when you can be in that sense of creating the moment, alignment with source, alignment with spirit, and with God and the oneness that
Mm,
exists.
thank you. Oh, and I had this one other thing regarding love is our new religion. Love the new religion. I love that poem that I received, and that's how we reconnected.
Hmm.
It's beautiful to read it now, and isn't it? I mean, this was part of your first book, and now
Yes.
when you read it, how do you feel about it? Because I was really moved by it. I want to include it in my next book.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Lilou. It's wonderful. I mean, it's one of those things where it's being shared, and people take it in their own ways and respond to their own ways. And I've actually had people rewrite it in their own ways, put different titles on it as it goes around, because it was going around anonymous for a while. I mean, I'm sure it still is somewhere, but so I see like all these different formats and styles that it comes in, and it becomes a part of you. It's part of me, and a part of my life, and a part of my journey, and a part of my experience, and I've believe in the message that's there, and I believe that we're a part of this awakening of conscious humanity. And a lot of times people feel isolated. They feel alone, and I hear that a lot from people, that they feel like they're the only ones in their town or their experience. And it was like to write to remind us and to point out to us that we're not alone, that there's people all over the world that are feeling the exact same thing that you are, and they're not all famous, not all celebrities. They could be working at a gas station, or they could be a waitress in a restaurant, or they can be whatever they are, and they have the same feeling, and they want to create the same world that you do. And it transcends any particular religion or any particular culture or any particular country. It's something that's universal in us. It beats in the hearts inside us for people all over the world and all different walks of life, that unites us as one, and that we're in this together, and recognizing that allows us to bring the energy forward together, and beyond the sense of isolation, and come together as one, beyond these superficial boundaries that we that we mentally, create that separate us from each other, and realizing that, we have um, this common vision and this common sense of awakening that's happening inside us from all different walks of life.
I will post the whole poem underneath the video too for people to read it so that it'll be easier to find. Thank you, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lilou. Always great to be with you.